Well,
16 minutes before Roy Scheider, the star of the film, appears. 24 minutes before they get to Nicaragua. 40 minutes before the oil well blows up. 48 minutes till the first sight of nitroglycerin. This is about Roy Scheider driving a truck with nitroglycerin on it. 54 minutes he's picked for the job. Just over 1 hour before he gets behind the wheel of the goddamn truck.
That's a fairly good accounting.
I will say that I watched this movie last night, turned it off after an hour, went to bed, got up this morning, and watched the second hour, which completely changed my opinion of the movie.
I'm right there with you. Yeah.
That movie is good.
I literally
the scene on the bridge, that's why it's on the record cover and the poster. Holy shit. It just took a long time to get there.
I literally just finished it before we started this.
Oh, did you? Okay.
And I couldn't agree more, John. That's I actually wrote that down. I said once they got into the trucks, it was good. I said it was boring, but much better when they got into the trucks. Why did it
boring and disjointed?
And not only that, like I didn't care. And once they got into the trucks, yeah, awesome. I mean, we can talk about it, but those suspension bridge sequences were masterful. I mean, Jesus.
I have no idea how they did it.
That's what I was wondering.
That bridge is much sturdier than it looks.
Yeah,
I figured as much.
But how did they even shoot that? It was magnificent.
It was.
Well,
how they get the
long
water
story.
going?
It took 3 months.
Goes over.
Yeah, I can see that. Not only they had that, they built it close to a rushing river. They had someone throwing crap in the river while it was shooting.
The joke is that the point where they were supposed to start shooting it, there was a drought and the river dried up.
Oh, really?
Like that sequence took 3 months.
Damn.
Wow. I believe
well, it showed.
I believe
but I know what I'm going to counter with this. We talked about a little bit about how narrative is developed in films over the years, and the first half of the film felt a lot like, say, Marathon Man or The French Connection, which were kind of contemporaneous films in the same vein. They were kind of spread out. They took their time telling their stories, and they did a lot of locations, a lot of different languages. And they kind of made it feel international and kind of like conspiratorial and spread out.
Anti-heroes.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, The French Connection is by the same director.
Yeah, exactly. Well, there you go. It's in his style. So
I'm gonna disagree slightly, because I don't think either of those movies, Marathon Man or French Connection, wastes any time. Like it does definitely they take French time. Again. I don't think this movie felt to me like it wasted about 10 to 15 minutes in the first half. I don't think it wasted any time in the second half. And I overall came out with a more positive view of it than I think at least John did, maybe Jared. I overall enjoyed it, but I was very conflicted about, like, they could have taken really 10 minutes out of just the town scene, just the scenes in the town. Like if they'd cut from maybe where they take away the Roy Scheider, like, you don't need that scene with him in the police station. Like, that's completely unnecessary.
No.
If they'd cut 10 minutes from there, and then you're that much closer to the explosion and everything that happens after the explosion, like all that, the riot and them climbing on the trucks and stealing the guns and all of that other stuff was super interesting. And the carrying of the bodies.
They didn't need so much. They didn't need so much in South America either before the truck situation, I think.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, take 10 minutes out.
That's what he's saying.
Yeah, that whole. Yeah, I agree 100%, Tad.
No, if it was made,
it was too much time in the town, too much time with the people who aren't in the trucks.
You could have taken 5 minutes out of the French section too.
Yeah, well, you could take the beginning and boil it down to 5-minute segments to get right down to it.
And if this movie was made today, they would. And he'd be in the truck in 25 minutes. Tops.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, of course, because Tarantino would have directed it.
Yeah, unfortunately, they would have did it all in flashbacks. They did it now. It'd be like everybody getting together for the big run. It'd be like
introduce them. They'd have like 60 seconds for each person to immediately show you what their life is like.
Yeah.
I like
Then-
the whole part.
then throw
No,
him-
there's no reason. There's no reason to find out why this French guy is taken off because he's had this malfeasance issue and he's
Yeah.
dealing with the president and all this stuff like
Yeah,
it's
that was way
it
too
didn't inform the
complicated.
next part of the plot at all. But that's how
Although
they
I
made
did-
movies back then. They
I did like though that his buddy blows his head off in his own car, and then the guy literally physically runs away.
Yeah. Now
That
think
was
about
hilarious.
how long it took to set up say a double indemnity or like the postman always rings twice. That was like half set up too.
I have no problem. I have no problem with this movie breathing. Like, actually, I think the breathing part of it was pretty nice. Like, I think the French section is too long. I just think for what you get out of it, it's too long.
We don't
Not-
need that much information.
But it doesn't need to be 5 minutes either. It can be 8 minutes. It can be
Yeah.
9 minutes. Like,
True.
I just don't think it needs to be 15. Like,
No.
it's that to me is the problem. It's not that it's breathing. It's not that it's taking its time. It's not that it's setting it up. I just think it overstays its welcome in a couple of places.
Well,
And again, that doesn't detract from my overall enjoyment of the movie. Like, I liked it.
Once it
I-
gets rolling, it is
I-
nonstop. It's
once it
it's
gets
a-
rolling. See, I wrote
yeah.
down I didn't enjoy learning about their lives, and that's because it's not because I didn't want to learn about their lives. I did, and I think you need to, but I didn't enjoy it. So like they needed to find another way to do it for me to really latch on and care about these people. And I
That
think that's
script was
both-
not a page turner, that's for sure. I mean,
Right.
we got to see all of their downfalls, how they ended up where they ended up, but it wasn't particularly gripping.
But we did end up with this scene out of it.
Oh, I wanted more of the Jersey mob stuff. You can talk about how long the front is, but
What's the story
the
with the
bride
black
with the
eye?
black eye. I
Well,
want to
when
find
I-
out how she got the black eye.
When
What
I
do you
first
think?
saw that, I was like,
You
is she-
know how she got the black eye. He's standing right next to her, burying her.
That's what
It was
I
her
was- I
father.
couldn't-
She was
I
trying to
couldn't
call
believe
it
it.
off.
Uncle Vito's coming to the wedding, and that's final.
first
Pretty
shot-
much. That was
The
awesome.
first shot, I thought she was like crying because I thought, oh, her mascara's running, she's crying, and then they give you the medium to close up, and I'm like, nope, he's
Black
been
eye.
beaten the fuck up.
Oh my god.
And
Also,
she's
just
marrying
right-
the dude.
And right before the heist happens, when all the Irish priests are sitting around the table counting the money,
Uh-huh.
that was like the grubbiest, most unholy behind the
That was
scenes.
based on
You know,
a real event. Just
How
Was
the
it really?
sausage is made. What?
that was based on a real event. And
No,
the
oh, yeah?
guys tangentially connected to it is actually in that scene.
No
Whoa.
shit. There was
Yeah.
somebody really knocked over like a whole parish in Jersey.
Yeah.
Oh
A
my
mob
God.
connected parish. in
Oh
Jersey.
my god, that's
Aren't they
nuts.
all
But
connected?
no,
to the
I enjoyed the hell out of that part. Of all the prequel bits, that was, even though I could bias towards this because it's English, but in
Right.
English, but still, it was just like there was a Scorsese kind of a vibe going in there, and it was just
Mhm.
really vital.
But it was like if Scorsese was like, I don't know, not smart and a kid or something.
Well, yeah,
Like-
it was-
There just wasn't.
So-
I don't know. I'm 100% on board with John. I found all of the filmmaking until the trucks
Mhm.
kind of bad.
did anyone see The Wages of Fear, like the original?
Well, that's what
No,
I
but
kept.
I'm going to.
I knew I had heard this story before, and I was like, I should be watching Wages of Fear instead of this because I haven't.
So I'm
seen it.
wondering if the opening bit is either the script trying to be original and doing this kind of its time, telling us opening in a kind of slow way, or it's being faithful to the original film. I'm not sure.
It's probably faithful to the novel because that's a sort of
Oh.
novelistic thing.
That makes sense.
Yeah. You
Yeah,
know,
novels have a lot of stuff like that.
if it was to be remade,
Mhm.
probably how they would do it, or one way they could redo it, is do those real quick intros of the characters, and then they're going to be on the road for 200 miles. You could have them talk and meet each other, find out who they are, as the characters are finding out who they are. They're talking to
Ooh.
each other in the truck.
See,
Oh,
that's a screenwriter talking right
But
there.
yeah, but that would-
that's
but
how-
also-
that's how I would do it.
but that's
I
but
love
that
it.
but thing
I love
is,
it.
no, you can't because it's flashbacks, and flashbacks are a sign of weakness.
No, you could talk, and you would care about them more. They're
What?
driving and they're talking.
Hold on. Flashbacks are a sign of weakness.
Flashbacks are a
Yes.
sign of
Flashbacks are a
screenwriting
fucking
weakness.
crutch, dude.
That's
So-
doctrinaire bullshit.
No, no.
Oh,
sorry,
you're gonna
man.
talk. Next, you'll say that you can't have voiceovers.
No, you shouldn't.
God save you if you have voiceover
you
in your
shouldn't
work,
have
people.
voiceovers, but they show up anyway. But I won't go.
If Roy Scheider had only saved a small puppy or cat, earlier in the film. I would have liked him
Oh,
more.
Now, whatever.
If
Or
anyone in
if
the-
Roy
if
Scheider
any-
was dressed like a cat and he was dancing.
Then
or
it
if
would have been
anyone- Or if
great.
anyone in the movie had more than 2 lines at one time, maybe I'd care about them.
But no, I thought that I thought
trying to
that,
make a silent movie.
yeah,
Who the fuck
No,
cares about movies? They're a fucking movie.
yeah.
You
Well,
watch
you know,
it.
I saw this when I was a kid on like Chris and I, we watched HBO like 5,000 times.
Oh no,
back
I
in the
saw
old
this.
days.
I saw this at the Chinese.
Oh, I saw this at the Aptos, so we seen it in theaters, but we watched
This
it
was the
millions of
movie
times
that
later on.
played at the Chinese for like a week and a half. because
Oh.
they took Star Wars out to put this in, and then very quickly put Star Wars back.
Okay.
And I remember
Well-
going in to see Star Wars, and the stand-up for this movie was right when you walked in through the lobby to get to your seat. This was
Yeah.
front and center.
Oh yeah,
This
yeah.
movie got
Those are-
totally fucked by Star Wars. Also,
Yeah,
Like all films in mid 77 to late 77 got fucked by Star Wars, yes. But I thought was this once it got going, once all the preamble, which is dated, I think, it is too overly long and it doesn't-
it's how they made movies.
That's how they made movies, basically. But once it got going in there, it was. I saw it many times as a kid, and I don't remember it being that great. It was.
Also,
It was much better than I remembered. This scene
Wow.
behind me,
yes,
this was wow. I mean,
and
I
they
was
come
like-
back to it also. Like they
This-
do it, and then they have the scene where he dies and he deals with the body, and then they come back to it. It's
No,
Scene
it's-
Had pulled for Twitter the
No,
other day.
But
The-
also,
the-
like the
When
look
he's
of the
carrying
film
the
got better,
nitro,
it is the film. It got grittier
walking
and darker,
toward the
and
flame.
and the cinematography got better. Like the shot that's behind Chris,
uh-huh.
and the whole sequence that's behind you, Scott. Like that
Yeah.
that whole desert weird sequence with the blue
Oh yeah,
was so beautiful.
no,
and
it
all
knocks
the
down
front-
George Miller a little bit for like he might
It
have
did. It
borrowed this a
reminded me
little
of
bit.
Mad Max.
There it is.
reminded me of
That's-
Fury Road.
The money shot right there.
The money, exactly.
Yeah,
Oh,
seriously.
I wound this back and forth like 5 times to
It's-
get
it's-
as much of the logo with the flames behind
Well,
it.
the Wayland
That
Yutani
was-
logo.
That was so cool.
Uh-huh.
That was
Yeah,
that
yeah.
was so cool.
Also, something very cool about this movie is all those explosions were 100% real.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, it's all
That's
practical
amazing
effects.
because some of those were really, really large scale.
Yeah.
And some of them were miniatures. The tree was definitely a miniature.
No, it's not. You know,
It looks like a miniature. Did they shoot?
nope. They had to find a guy to blow that tree up because
Did they shoot at a really high frame rate
They had
then?
to find a different guy and fly him in, and he blew the tree up.
Did they?
Wow.
Did they
One
shoot?
take.
Did they shoot at a really high frame rate then?
I could pull it up. It's on the IMDb on the trivia.
Okay,
section.
because
Full
it looks
story.
I think it's a cool looking explosion, but it definitely looks like a miniature.
No,
No,
we're not
it
used to
was-
seeing
it
giant
was
trees
tree
being
up.
blown up, so who knows what they really look like.
Well, but there's a certain speed to miniature explosions. Like if
Yeah.
you think about Independence Day, when the White House blows up
Mm-hmm.
at Independence Day, you can just intrinsically tell that was a small scale thing that was blown up with a lot of explosions.
Putting it in the chat.
And slowed down.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Well, I was just impressed by the grand scale of the real explosions in this film and
Oh, yeah.
how well it was orchestrated, how well it was cut in to the other footage, and you just don't see, kind of like the gore in Possessor. You don't see good explosions like this in movies these days.
No, you don't.
They don't look like this.
No.
You're right.
Yeah, and also the jeopardy. It's like we gotta get this dynamite to this place, and we can't fly it there, and we have to take it there by car. They really justified it well. It didn't seem forced. It didn't seem like a ticking clock. It's something somebody's going to risk their life to do. It was really well done.
I knew one of the trucks was going to explode.
Yeah.
Like I
Yeah.
absolutely, and I knew it wasn't going to be the one that Roy
Oh,
Scheider was in.
Oh no! This scene where they're up in the mountain pass, and the guy starts talking about was his family or something like
Yeah,
that. Oh, dude, this is the 2 dudes in the foxhole in the World War II movie.
Yeah.
Well,
No,
I got
I'm
big
like,
plans after the war. You want to see a picture of my sweetheart back in the States? Then what happens?
Hold on.
Exactly.
Hold on. The reason you care even an iota about the fact that he's talking about his wife in that moment is because we went through the trouble of
Giving her that note.
explaining what he was dealing with back in Paris before he had to flee.
I
True,
wish
true.
the PLO guy
That's a lot.
I wish the PLO guy had actually had more of a backstory, because all
Yeah.
you see is him being involved in the attack and then
No.
running.
Who was
Right.
he? Was he?
Well, the Veracruz guy had even less backstory.
No,
It was
Yeah,
like
he just
walk
walks in
shoot
and shoots
somebody.
a guy and leaves.
no, I'm
That's
gonna,
it.
I'm gonna go and say this
Yeah,
to Jim. Jim, what were the politics of the Israeli sequence? What was going on there?
It's just your normal
But was it that these were Jewish or Israeli activists or terrorists?
No, they were
these were
Palestinians.
They're Palestinians disguised as Israelis.
As
Oh,
Israelis.
I didn't catch that.
Yeah, and then you have
Yeah,
the
'cause they're all
IDF.
wearing yarmulkes.
So
Yeah,
it was a PLA trying to blow up something in. Okay, got it.
And then the IDF shows up, and because they had spies everywhere, they knew that these guys were active, and then they show up and slaughter them because that's how it works.
Yeah.
You're right.
That
You
sequence
let
was
them-
all pretty good. That was pretty good.
No, I thought it was-
I dug that part too. Yeah.
Yeah, but then the Roy Scheider and the French guy get more like personal backstories of like who they are, and the two non-white guys get like they're violent anyway.
And
then the German guy gets zero backstory at all, and then just gets murdered off screen.
Yes, he does.
Or did he commit suicide?
No, he got
Well,
he got killed.
We don't like the Germans here in America.
No,
that
well, there's
much.
that marathon man thing again. You got Nazis running around back then in South
Well,
America.
and he talks to the other guy, the bartender,
Mhm.
and says that he's German. You know,
He was a Reichsmarshal.
Yeah,
Right. He said he was a Reichsmarshal.
Exactly.
That's right.
There was only one, Himmler.
That's pretty funny. But no, I thought it was dynamite.
Yeah.
And this
Wait, so I'm gathering, John, I know you didn't see it before.
I'd
Jared,
never seen it before.
Tad, you had or hadn't seen this before?
So I'm pretty sure I did see this, but like on TV when I was like 12.
I had never seen this before, so I'm glad I saw it. I'm with John. The second half was fantastic. The first half just really I was bored and I didn't care.
Yeah, because I started recognizing parts of it as it was going further
Jim,
along.
you've probably seen this at least as many times as I have.
Who?
Jim,
Jim, had you seen this before?
you've seen
No, I had not. I
Whoa.
wanted to.
Well, okay. Here's the part where we asked Jim what he thought.
I thought it was wonderful from beginning to end. I really liked the beginning, how they stretched it out to whatever it is, half an hour or more of giving these guys backstories. You finally figure it out. But I just liked it. In fact, I found myself saying, oh, thank God it's not another, fill in the blank with any of the other movies we've seen, where I had to turn it off like every 20 minutes to catch my breath.
After last week, I decided I had a couple of them. They probably would have sent you running for the exits after 20.
it did have a weird feeling, like a little bit.
The list.
A little is a little
The
bit
list.
like the
don't
the passenger a little bit, wasn't it?
It
Yes.
was similar,
Yes.
yeah.
Very much.
Somebody said it recently on this call. There was a zeitgeist for like 70s movies,
Yeah.
Sure.
This had it.
This has
There's
it.
like-
It,
there's
it
like,
has that. It has that fragmented feel with those zooms and abrupt cuts and stuff.
Dude, that's a
Well, they
modern
were so
going-
fucking tired with Hollywood.
Yeah.
Well,
They
Yeah.
were all
So it's like
rebelling against it, and they'd all gone to film school.
Also,
Yeah.
this movie
Right.
has an A-team montage in it, and I appreciate almost anything that has an A-team montage in it. Like
that's my favorite part. My
the
favorite
A-team,
part.
the A-team montage in this with the Tangerine Dream soundtrack over the
Yeah.
top of it. I was 100% on board. I was like,
How
cool.
about the
Yeah.
French
Let's fix
banker
Let's fix
who's
these fucking
remarkably
trucks.
skilled at repairing old trucks?
Yes.
I felt
Yes.
like
And by the way, that was the first thing that greeted me this morning when I started hour 2 of the movie, and I was like, okay.
Yeah.
Well, mind you, I montages, like I said, that quote are, a movie apologizing for the existence of time. But as a kid, seeing this over and over again, that was my favorite part of the movie, was the montage. Because it really
That
is
is my favorite part of the
It's
movie.
dynamic, and it puts it together so fast. And before you know it, the trucks are ready to go, and you're ready to have the actual adventure start. You know what
I
I
was
mean?
It's that
literally sitting there.
anticipation. It's the
Yeah.
excitement of what's to
And the
come.
music helped quite a bit too.
I was literally sitting there under my breath going, as I'm watching
Right.
it, because it was
Right.
such like somebody who worked on the A-team watched this movie and was like, shit, we need to do that in every episode, every single episode.
or getting strong now, fixing trucks
Yeah.
now,
Punching
gonna
me
drive
now.
now. Exactly.
Yep. So while we're kind of on the subject, I'm sorry, Chris, go ahead and then I'll say my thing.
Well, no, I mean, since it was my pick, there's some stuff I thought I'd throw in there. So interestingly enough, this movie's only 2 hours and 1 minute long.
Yeah.
And what's really interesting is if you think about Jaws, which has almost the exact same running time.
Wow.
At this point, so this movie at the almost halfway point, they get in the truck and start the adventure. At Jaws, at exactly the halfway point, the orca takes off and heads into the ocean again.
Oh, interesting.
Wow.
But the first,
Well,
we all, I mean, Jaws is one of my favorite movies of all time. I'm not going to
Uh-huh.
compare the first half of that to this, but it's just we're going to set this. We're going to set the table,
Uh-huh.
and then they're going to go do their thing.
Yeah, it's like a
This
that's
is-
that-
what I'm
just
saying about
goes
the
to show
style
you-
of it.
But that just goes to show you in this, maybe in only this instance, I don't know.
Well, it's also
But
the difference
and,
in Friedkin.
and Jim's gonna hate me, but Spielberg set a better table than Friedkin.
Well, but
in
they're
these-
they're
comparing these
setting
two
two
movies.
very different tables. Hold on. So I'll get to Friedkin in a second. I think this would be an interesting triple bill, what I call the Hubris in the Jungle trilogy.
Uh-huh.
Three
Ah.
directors that all thought that they could go into the jungle and make a movie. And so you would run this.
It's Geraldo.
It's Geraldo.
It's
Geraldo.
And then,
And
and then
Apocalypse
if you
Now.
really like, then
Wait,
you
wait.
can roll in with Burden of Dreams and
Apocalypse
Birds of
Now.
Darkness.
Yes.
There's no one of those for this. You guys would actually have to go on the IMDb,
Yeah.
the
What
Twitter.
was the second one, Chris?
There's a lot to
Apocalypse
get through in
Now.
there.
Yeah.
Apocalypse
I
Now.
love all three of these guys were
Uh-huh.
arrogant enough to think that they could go into the fucking middle of the jungle and make a movie, and it
Right.
drove each one of them crazy.
Yeah.
And in this guy's, in Friedkin's case, it kind of killed his career for a while.
It did.
Well,
he
because
was
this didn't
riding
make
as
any-
high
this
as
didn't make any
anybody
money.
could ride.
It didn't make any money.
The
Yeah.
Exorcist and French Connection.
Right.
And then he makes this turkey, which everybody loves it now. It's
Yeah.
but so I've been kind of catching up on movies of his. Like I went back and like what happened afterward. We made The Brinks Job, which I still haven't seen, but then I did finally get around a couple of nights ago and watched Cruising, which is lurid with a capital L and not particularly good. But I was
Yeah.
like, when did he get his
Yeah, but
mojo
he-
back? And
but
I went through like, oh wait, I know, I'm going to put on To Live and Die in L.A. Which is
He also
Cruising
made
is
he made a big comeback though when he started teaming up with Tracy Letts because
Well,
they did
Right. So I'm going
Bug.
to get to that. So he makes To Live and Die in L.A. and then falls out the fucking cliff again
Mhm.
for I don't know what, close to 20 years.
Yeah,
And it comes
yeah.
back with Bug and Killer Joe, which
Killer
are
Joe.
Bug, man.
Great.
What a movie.
yeah, Killer
both
Joe
of
and
those
Bug
movies
are
fucking
fantastic.
amazing.
Oh my
So
God.
his Friedkin's highs are extraordinary, but his lows are like as Jim says, man's got to work.
Yeah.
Like
I still say his lows aren't as bad as
Well, mind you,
Scott's lows.
like Sorcerer would have worked
Right.
2 years before it came out, like in 74 or 73,
Maybe.
because it was like it felt
7X.
like that. It felt like early 70s action. But when
Yeah.
it came out, Star Wars came out, and then like Closing Counters came out.
and
it was
back to the
his-
Friedkin thing. So the whole setting the table thing, the knock on Friedkin is always that it's style over warmth. No one ever gives a fuck about the characters in his movies. Fair cop.
Uh-huh.
Like he just doesn't like that's just wasn't what he was trying to do at that point. So yeah, he introduces these four guys with these backstories, and yeah, no one kind of gives a shit, I guess. And I
Friedkin
think in
takes a
Friedkin's
much-
mind, he's like, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Right.
What
Takes
matters
he
is
ta-
what gets them to the jungle and gets them into these trucks.
Yeah.
He takes a much dimmer view of humanity than
Yeah.
some of his contemporaries. Like even Coppola, like he doesn't like people. Like he likes stories.
Oh, I
he
agree.
likes stories and he likes characters, but he doesn't like people.
Yeah, for
And
sure.
and I think that's
Sounds about right.
that's actually something I appreciate about him. Like he feels to me like a more modern director
Mhm.
in that sense. Like
Yeah.
we have gotten to the point where there are a group of directors, I think now, Joe Carnahan is one of them, who doesn't like people. Like he wants to tell a story, but he wants you to know that everyone involved in this is fucked up.
Oh, like Wes
No.
Anderson.
Yeah, but just because
But
you
Wes
have
Anderson-
enough characters doesn't
Wes
mean
Anderson,
that-
they're all cut out doll figures in his movies.
Well,
and that's
yeah,
how he did.
that's-
No, he doesn't believe in people. That's a different thing.
Wes makes diorama movies, and I am here for it.
Yeah, okay.
And I am not. And we'll have that argument at some point.
Exactly.
In Temecula.
In Temecula. Now, one thing I made a note on this is that one of things about this film is it's about the world of men. This is about,
One woman in this, two women in this movie.
and no, it's
Yeah,
all
it's
about
a
the world of
sausage
men. And this was
party.
the 1970s, so the world of men was very much a thing back then. And it's all about guys taking risks and getting getting their asses blown off and do all stuff like that, because it was a kind of unspoken code, kind of like a Western that they adhered to in this. It was a world of men. And the thing is, I would say that Friedkin, he's doing his World of Men story, but the movie before was The Exorcist. So that was not a World of Men story. That was, the main character was the mom, and he knows how to be sympathetic. He knows how to make a film that appeals to everybody. But this was an unusual break for him, I thought.
I was gonna bring that up when Tad was talking, because
you tell.
I think Tad has a point, but I think that, in a movie like The Exorcist, you do care about the priest and his crisis that he's going through.
I care about the mom, but that's me.
Yeah, I actually don't care.
That might be the book.
You care about the mom. You
it
care
is
about
the
little.
book.
You care about the little girl.
Yeah, pretty much. Although she has a very small part in the film in a lot of ways in terms of her line. She's just the center of attention.
Yeah, but you care about her getting, well,
killed or possessed.
No,
Yeah.
I actually don't, and I like The Exorcist, and I actually don't.
Mhm.
I do care about the mom, but mostly I just care about the story. The story to me is, again, the most interesting part of that movie.
Masterpiece.
No, it was done with skill, and I think that Friedkin was just, again, it was a style over substance in a lot of ways.
Well, that may be his best film.
Yeah.
Oh, I would agree with you in that one.
Same here. Same here.
I think it's French Connection, but only by that much.
Okay.
I
So
need to
Chris,
see
good.
that again.
Why'd you pick this one, Chris?
Because we kind of been talking around it for a while, and it occurred to me that maybe some of you guys hadn't seen it, and it's just one of those ones that I like. It's got it's more infamous than it is like people have heard that it was like some sort of train wreck, but not many people have seen it.